Hi, everybody. Welcome to Domain Sherpa. We've got an awesome Domain Sherpa coming up today. We've got Drew, Josh, and Miller on the show, and we talk a ton about the current economic climate, how that's impacting digital assets, and what the Sherpas think this means from a domain standpoint. Because this is a long discussion, we end up playing a protracted version of the domain game, but still cover the names yacht.com, motorfee.com, and 672.com. Then we have the Namejet and a Jet segment, sponsored by Namejet, and we talk about some domains coming up for auction, such as kj.org, smartads.com, iloveit.com, and tinkerbell.com. And with tinkerbell.com, we get into a spirited discussion about trademark rights and how they can impact domain names and their potential value. And remember, if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, you can also watch the video version at DomainSherpa.com and also watch some of our other episodes on our YouTube channel at ds.tv. And also, as usual, big shout out to Dan.com, the #1 place in the world to buy and sell your domains with a special platform made for domain investors. And last but certainly not least, with NamesCon Global coming up in Austin, Texas at the end of August, we've got a promo code for our audience to save 20% on tickets. That code is M as in man, P as in Peter, _ Domain Sherpa. Again, that's MP _ Domain Sherpa, and you can use that when you register for tickets at namescon.com. So definitely get on that. All right, with all that, it's time to get into this episode of Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. So let's go. What's up, Sherpa Network? Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Jonathan Tenenbaum, a.k.a. JT, a.k.a. Jay On, and I am the host and producer of Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Today's show is a Domain Sherpa review, where we get into the minds of successful domain investors using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics to become more successful domain name investors ourselves. These are the experts. There are 4 segments to a Domain Sherpa review. We've got the grand opening. That's where I intro all the Sherpas, do the AKAs, see what's going on with them, and talk about some related items, some unrelated stuff. We'll try to keep the tangents to a minimum. This is a domains show today, but we will get into a little bit about crypto, a little bit about NFTs. But for the domain maxis, this is the place you want to be. You're in the right place. This is where it's going down. Segment 2, we got the domain game. That's what we hear about what the Sherpas recently bought or sold. Everybody guesses on the price. We keep the score, and we give out some swag. We finally got swag in hand. It's going out. We were just covering that offline. Excited about that. And then third segment is Namejet Gonna Jet, sponsored by our friends at Namejet, where we review a list of domains coming up for auction on Namejet, see what the Sherpas like, what they don't like, and what they think the value should be, where those look like good buys are the ones that you should avoid. And then finally, we'll close with grand closing, where we discuss anything we haven't covered already, what's going on in the domain space, looking at market trends, current events, allowing the guests to mention or promote things that they want to talk about that we have not already discussed. So with that, let's go ahead and introduce the Sherpas today. We got an amazing panel, as usual, a lot of familiar faces. First, we'll start to my right and then go down and around. We got my boy, Andrew Miller, a.k.a. Miller Time, a.k.a. Ace Rothstein, a.k.a. Bill Belichick, a.k.a. the Miller Whale. What's up, man? How you doing, bro? You in Vegas?
I'm in Vegas. Sorry about the glare, but you guys, had to give the Vegas backdrop. Yeah, I'm in Vegas, man. I'm psyched. I'm here. My son's got a sweet internship for DraftKings, and they're opening a huge corporate headquarters here, and they sent him here, and he's like 2 weeks shy of 21, so he can't really do shit. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go with you and hang. And I'm having dinner with Amar tonight, and I had a good meeting, couple meetings with LA people who flew in yesterday, and which we'll talk about, and doing the Vegas thing, man. Here for the Celtics. Nervously for the Celtics game tomorrow night, and
yeah, dude,
we'll take it from there.
We'll see. I think it'll go 7. I think it's tough for them not to get too far into the sports stuff, because we can talk about that forever. But yeah. I think you get a game where Curry shoots 0 for 12 for 3 and you still lose. I mean, I know it was on the road, but that was a winnable game.
He usually doesn't have 2 of those in a row. So
yeah, well, that's what I mean. But they're a good team. Tatum, Brown. I mean, Smart. I mean, they're legit. So Horford.
Yep. And then I'm flying. Last sports. I'm flying home Friday. We get the U.S. Open in Brookline. So I'm loaded up with my bets here in Vegas, hardcore for my hitting the U.S. Open on Saturday. It's going to be a if you're anyone's watching this as a golfer, I don't know if this will even be live before Saturday, but if anyone's watching this as a golfer and they want to see pro golfers look like we do on a golf course, watch this U.S. Open, because this is the hardest course these guys are going to play in a long time. This is going to be a shit show for some of these guys.
Are there a bunch of guys not playing because of this whole live?
No, they're all playing. Everyone's playing.
Yeah. So, live? What's that?
It's the new golf tour sponsored by the Saudis. It's Greg Norman Sr. The Shark is his.
No, everyone's in the majors. Everyone's in the major.
Okay.
Some more woke bullshit.
I don't know about what. I mean, I don't know about.
It's kind of the opposite. It's the opposite of that, basically. It's money bullshit.
Yeah. But we could spend this. We could do I could do an hour show just on live versus PGA. So let's get back on track.
And for what it's worth, so Greg Norman, his son has an NFT project, the 11s and stuff. They're kind of active in the space, and so shout out to them. And they've got some of the Captain's Club or whatever they've got going on, which is dope. But anyway, all right. Well, look. We could spend hours talking about everything we talk about. So, but let's keep this to the topics at hand, and which is domains and related stuff. And I'm not even, we'll keep it moving on the intro. So, moving on, got my boy Josh Reason, aka Bjorn Borg, aka Harry Kane, aka Triple Crown. It's going down. What's happening, man? What's good? What's up with Zed Run? Is Zed Run getting smacked around with all this, with the market is like the same impact, or is it a little bit more insulated? What's happening?
No, not really. It's not getting smacked around too much at all. I would say it's pretty consistent to where it has been. Okay. I mean, the only reason it's getting smacked around is because the value of Ethereum has gone down so much. Right? Anything that's based on Ethereum is getting smacked around. And also there was a little thing where the company behind it were holding their treasury in Ethereum and paying out race prize pools in US dollars. So a little bit of a mess up there. Yeah. So other than that,
I remember back in the day, GoDaddy had some. They had like the Russian ruble. Because you used to have this little thing at the top where you change your currency. And they had the Russian ruble at a pegged rate, and somebody figured that shit out and like exploited them for about, I think it was $2 million.
No.
They came in and like I remember Oliver Hogan was part of that shit. They came because they went on D Forum, and they were like, "Yo, we are ready to buy basically any liquid domain, 2-letter, 3-letter, 4-letter.coms. Here's the price we'll pay." It was a little over market, right? And it was like, we'll pay, whatever you got. And so people, but the catch was you had to put a buy it now on GoDaddy. People are like, no, I'll do it for cheaper if you can do it. And they're like, no. Buy it now, GoDaddy, throw it in there. And so dude was just hammering it with a credit card, like doc, just buying up all these names. And then GoDaddy was on the hook.
Shit.
Man.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't remember all the details, but I think they were out about 2 million.
Oof. Well, it goes to show you if there's an exploit, people will find it, and it also is an interesting, and we dealt with some of the same thing even with our own project where you get Ethereum coming in, and if you don't turn it to cash, right, and you just sit on it and let it sit there, and then the value completely tanks. Like we pay a lot of our bills not in Ethereum, right? So it's like you have to be.
Yeah, the other way of saying that is if you don't listen to me, you end up losing money. That's the other way you could look at it.
Yeah, that should be the tagline of Domain Sherpa altogether. You know what I mean? Listen to Drew or lose money, right? Speaking of which, let me go ahead and do an official introduction from our boy Andrew Rosner, aka Morpheus, aka the Dirk Diggler Digital Assets. Switch that up on y'all. Bobby Digital, aka Bob Lee Swagger, Rowdy Roddy Sniper, Drew the Dragon Steamboat. I got a lot of new shit, man. I'm like
pretty soon you're gonna have to change my nickname to Hoover.
Hoover, why? You just collecting right now?
I'm gonna just be scooping up everybody's distressed assets, like sucking it up, like give me more.
Oh man.
And by the way, I will say, not to pat ourselves in the back, Drew and I have been calling this shit publicly, Twitter, LinkedIn, on Sherpas for like months and months, if not even years. I'd say years. I would say over a year ago, well over a year ago.
Well, yeah, no, look, and I think that's you just have to go back to the tape, right? I mean, the last Sherpa, the last Sherpa, because that actually hasn't, but I think it was like 2 Sherpas ago where we talked about the state of the market and really dove into that and talked about like, what was on the horizon. And, you know, it was very prophetic and it was accurate, which is, you know, unfortunate because, you know, it was pretty bearish, but it's, you know, probably wasn't even bearish enough, all things considered at the time. But yeah, man, I mean, that was what it was. And, you know, so I hope people who had the opportunity to take some cash off the table, you know, were able to do so. And,
you know who was
big profits.
You know who was the most prophetic bear?
Ooh.
Josh. Josh was a bear when we were in the raging bull market. Josh has been a bear. Josh has been a bear since birth. You know, he was like, you know, we're at the all-time highs. Josh was like, nope, time to sell. Time to sell. Every time he bought, time to sell. But in all seriousness, actually, Josh legit was like the first hardcore bear. He recognized irrational exuberance before anybody.
Yeah, well, and the tough part with things like that, it's like we all knew, hey, look, this isn't sustainable, right? And the fact that
when you say we all, it excludes you, right?
Hey, look, man. For what it's worth.
By the way, I just want to raise the record. I'm not a bear. You know, just I am. All right, that's fine. I'm not going to qualify myself as that as much. I think there's incredible cherry picking and opportunity. Look, I've always done.
But there's only cherry picking and opportunities because it's a bear market and the bear is just ripping people apart.
Bull, whatever.
People are running. They're dead. They're shredding.
It's a much needed. It was a much necessary thing to happen, and it always does. And you know, as soon as interest rates started going up, you knew it was going to happen, and everything else would follow that. It was like it's not rocket science when I say. You know, it's not
quick little game, and then we're going to move on, right? So, 2 questions. Everybody give an answer. Then we're going to move on to domain names. Number 1, from let's say 0 to 100. 100 being peak financial markets, peak.
We have a new
crypto
host.
markets.
Yeah.
Okay, and zero being the bottom of this market. Where are we? Are we 50% of the way to the bottom? Are we 90% of the way to the bottom? And then second question is, how much do you believe the Fed is going to raise interest rates today? Half a point, quarter of a point, 3/4 of a point, 1 full point? Everybody give their answer, and then we're going to move on.
I'll start.
Because otherwise we'll spend all day on this.
I'll start. Let's go quickly. I mean, I don't think there's any. I mean, it's pretty. They're going to raise. Obviously, they're going to raise 3/4 of a point. I mean, I don't think that's I don't think there's any other guess. That's pretty known fact at this point. So that one isn't that as hard. The harder one, and I think they'll do it again in July, at least a half, maybe 3/4. The hard question is how far are we to the bottom? And you can't. I never assume I can pick the bottom. I got lucky.
Nobody can. That's why it's a game.
So
that's why I preface this with a game.
I can tell you from my perspective, I'm dollar cost averaging, and I'm buying with the intent to DCA. So I'm buying things now, assuming we're over to 50%. How's that? Somewhere over to 50, but not nearly at 100. And I'm buying what I want to buy now with the understanding I'm going to buy more as we get up. As we get further down and get further hammered on some of these things, the stuff I believe in, I'm now actively buying. Somewhere like 40 to 65% today with room to go, and we may never get to 100. It could turn. There are things that could happen that could turn it. It could already be factored in, but we're certainly. I can't imagine we're at the worst of it yet.
Josh.
Yeah, I would say probably raise it half a point. And in terms of where do I think we are, from a macro level, I think that it's only just beginning, maybe like 20%, and crypto maybe closer to like 50%.
Meaning, so from a macro level, you're saying we're actually still at like 80% and going.
Yeah, exactly. It's like just the beginning. It's gonna get a shit ton worse. That's
okay.
So you're saying 80% more to go down in the in financial market, in crypto markets, and in financial markets.
No, I would say in crypto markets more like 50%, and then in financial markets, I think it could be worse.
Call it S&P 500, another 80%. You think? All right, that's bearish.
The bear.
JT.
Yeah, so I would say that I think, to echo, I agree with Miller. I mean, I think this, 75 basis points or whatever is going to happen. It probably happens again. before the end of the summer. So I think that's what we're looking at from an interest rate perspective coming up in the next, and then I think they'll have to reassess and see. I mean, we've also got elections coming up in, the fall, which could, lead to trying to correct the other way if they realize, all the damage that's being done. Although I don't know at this point, they really don't have any other levers to pull. So, so I think, and I would agree.
Oh, yes, they do.
Well, no, I mean, I levers to pull to try to deal with the inflation, right? Because for the inflation, it's like they can raise rates. They can't, printing money is not going to help inflation, right? It's going to do the opposite. So, as far as just the things they can, do to try to tackle the inflation stuff, it's really just going to be largely the biggest lever they've got are raising rates. And as they continue to do that, and this is also going to echo what Miller said on prior shows, what you and I talk about all the time. As rates go, the markets go, rates go up, markets are going to take a hit. Some of this is priced in. I think 50 was priced in. Now 75 is based on the shit that the market had took this week when that was signaled from the Fed. And as far as where we are market wise, I'd say we're probably at the 50% mark. I think we still have a lot to go. I think when these macro factors, especially when you look at like emerging markets and other places, they're going to really take it. Like, when you start dealing with starvation and things and like people who can't afford, basic necessities. I mean, it's hard enough for people who have means in developed countries to, feed their families. I think it's going to get even harder across the world. That's going to have ripple effects all over the place. And that's just stuff that you can assume is going to happen almost no matter what, right? Not counting any additional other things and, any further turmoil and whatever else could potentially happen, natural disasters, shit like that. So, I think we're maybe at the 50% mark on a lot of things. I agree that crypto's probably taken a larger hit than equity. So I think crypto is a little less to go down going forward. I think you're starting to see a decoupling from some of that stuff. You're also seeing a decoupling from some crypto against certain other things, like where Bitcoin, is usually, the leader of all. I think you'll see a little bit more fluctuation across the different coins and tokens and chains and things like that. But I think we're probably in that 40 to 50 range. I think we still got a ways to go down. But there'll be winners still. I mean, and there's, there'll be sectors that'll actually be successful in this craziness and shit like that. So, and there'll be, opportunities that'll present themselves and, where you do have people that are going to fire sale stuff and, places to kind of get in and do some things. So
there is one thing adding to that, by the way. I think, going back to, look, I'm the old fuck on this thing, so I don't know if that gets edited out, but
no, man, we're gonna leave that in. We're gonna put that over.
So
throw that over the screen. Throw it on the screen.
Yeah, I was at Drexel.
I'll repeat with a fucking beat behind it.
I was at Drexel for the crash of 87 when I started my Wall Street career. So look, I think here's as much as there was couple things. One, as much as there was excess jubilation, or what's the word you use, Josh?
Rational exuberance.
Rational exuberance. Thank you.
Irrational.
And irrational, and that was ridiculous. You also have the reverse effect when there is irrational bearishness or the end of the world, and that also can work very favorably, almost in a similar way. So, and I think we're getting nearer that level of it's not as bad for a lot of reasons as the stories being painted by some.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That is a great point because you're right. You do have, it's easy to buy into the current narrative based on just general temperament, right? So when things are, it's like, oh my God, we're all going to the moon, right? And then it's like, oh, we're all going to fucking crash and die. Like it's easy to kind of like sway between those sort of emotional, it's like a pendulum, right? And I would agree. I think we're on we're on the side now where the general sentiment is everything is awful and it's on fire and
and the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Exactly. Yeah. No. So I think that's a fair point. Go ahead, Drew.
So, all right. So I think that I think the Fed. I think it's actually a lot less certain than Andrew thinks about how much the Fed is going to raise. I think that generally speaking, Fed doesn't like making surprises. There's this jawboning bullshit leaking to the Wall Street Journal saying it should be 75 basis points instead of 50. They left the door open for that. It's possible. I'm kind of leaning towards they're going to stay with 50 basis points, and then they're going to realize that they're so far behind the curve that in July, we might see a full point hike.
I agree with that.
But that's kind of the way I'm thinking about it. In terms of where we are in the market, I think that S&P's got another 30, maybe 40% to go down. I think that crypto has 50%. I think that you guys have it inverse. I think that financial markets, another 30%. I think the Dow even less than that. But I think like S&P's going down 30, 40% from here. But I think that crypto's got a good 50% leg down to go from here. And there's a variety of reasons for that. But I think that it's going to be very difficult for crypto to catch a serious bid. And I think that there's a whole bunch of macro factors that are going to lead to more cascading liquidations. And
that's a fair point. You're talking about
heavy downward.
Well, you
pressure.
see what happened with Luna
liquidations as well.
That's a really good
There
point.
is so much. At the end of the day, everything is about
pressure.
Credit.
It's
all credit. It's way too much levered positions in all markets, but especially in crypto. Yeah. And there's still jubilation. There's still people getting excited about trading momentum. Those people need to be wiped out, bled out, and then we can start to see the market settle
full
somewhere.
Capitulation.
Full capitulation.
I will say this.
I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you on live camera about your opinion on MicroStrategy.
I think MicroStrategy is a non-issue because now I sold my shares a while ago, but I think MicroStrategy will be fine. I'm not going to give it a seal of approval because look, he's got leverage, right? And I'm just opposed to leverage in especially in any kind of risk asset like this. But I think that look, that guy's got 120, 130,000 Bitcoins. A very, I think it's 5% of it is leveraged. Like Bitcoin's got to go to $4,000 or $3,500 for him to run out of collateral. And so, I think that I think he should have planned some of his late Bitcoin purchases better. He was still allocating right up into the highs. And I think he should have, seen that, but hey, that's neither here nor there. But I think that he's fine. Yeah. I think he's fine. Look,
by the way, I'm going to help JT.
It's still putting in 50 to 70 million in free cash flow a year.
Yeah,
his whole profile raise, the company actually is outperforming what they've done over the last 10 years because his whole profile of the company and himself raised. He's a global celebrity.
Celsius is the best thing that ever happened to him in many ways because it's taken the attention off of him onto them.
But that goes back to the point, and that the Celsius thing. You look at Luna. Like I agree about that. That's a good point that I wasn't really thinking about.
I hope Celsius dies and burns to the freaking ground. And I'm sorry for anybody who's got collateral in there, but I'm telling you, I flew with that dude. I sat next to Alex on an airplane. We both were a speaker at the Real Vision conference. I sat next to that dude on an airplane flying back to New York. And this dude was pushing me so hard. He almost had me convinced. I almost gave him a bunch of Bitcoin. And the only reason I didn't, because I just didn't feel like dealing with the onboarding process. And I'm telling you right now, I hope they just fucking burn to the fucking ground because that douchebag was out there telling everybody, tell your grandmother to give me their Bitcoin. We're the sale. Fuck you, die.
Editor.
Billy, highlight.
No.
Hey, we get it.
No.
Look, we got to move this along anyway, but I will say, go ahead.
No, you go. I was going to say, I was trying to do this for you. Transitioning in the worst of weeks of crypto, a rough stock market week where, I could say that it has been a very stellar domain week. at least on my end. So
yeah, well, that's going to be the segue. So last point, and then we'll move on. Obviously, is just that. Yeah, I agree about the crypto piece. The fact that you do have these other the networks, DeFi's, the different things that are going to create these ripple effects that are going to have a real drag that are going to be unique on the crypto side. And I think when I talk about how I think some of it has stabilized a bit more than what we anticipate seeing in the equity markets and whatnot, also is that I'm not talking about like altcoins and shit coins. I'm really talking about Bitcoin, you know what I mean? And I think that Bitcoin is going to, there's a certain stability compared to some of what we'll see on the equity side. But obviously companies that have...
yeah, I mean, just to clarify, if you're still sitting on shit coins in this market right now, like, can't help you. You know what I mean? Like, take your L's because, you might be down 90%, but I'm telling you right now, you're going down another 90% from here. And so it's like, this isn't financial advice. This is just life advice. This is like, it's like,
the Kanye, I love it. I don't know.
You bought some shit.
I'm not going to respond to this so we can get on track, but I disagree.
So what does this mean for domain names, right? So before we get into the domain game, let's slide into domain talk. And what does this mean for domains? I mean, we've seen some pretty good activity recently.
We've said it before. Public markets don't matter. Crypto markets matter to some extent, but not really. What matters is tertiarily related to the crypto markets, and it's really about venture capital. So as venture capital goes, so goes domain markets. And venture capital is sitting on historically large capital infusions from LPs. They have a mandate to deploy that capital. They can sit on their hands for 3 to 6 months, not much longer than that. Otherwise, the back of the pipeline is empty. And so I think what you're going to see is, checks, I was going to say actually checks getting smaller, but it might actually be the case. I think it actually could be that they're getting larger checks to fewer companies. They're being more selective, right? They're taking a rifle approach instead of a shotgun approach. And, the vast majority of that capital is already earmarked for Web3. And if you look back over the last 24 months, the vast majority of the biggest domain sales went into the Web3 market. Let's call it crypto, call it whatever the fuck you want. And so I think that, these guys in that market, they understand the value of a domain name. They understand that the importance of having a domain name that customers trust, because there's so much trust issues already inherent to that market. And so domain names become that much more important. I've always said it, that basically if you are a financial player of any sort, financial institution, exchange, anything, if you're taking people's money, okay, and you're not on your exactbrandmatch.com, in my opinion, you are financially negligent. And so ethically negligent, really, because you are willingly putting your customer in harm's way through a variety of ways of data loss, phishing, all sorts of stuff. And so I think that these guys get that to a larger extent than most Web 2 companies, and certainly more than most of the Financial 500, Fortune 1000. And so I think that, I think we have a very positive outlook in the mid to long term for domain names, mid to long term being, 1 to 10 years. And I think that over the next 3 to 6 months, we're going to have some softening. And it's simply because you're going to see VCs sitting on their hands, seeing how this thing plays out, seeing how the dust settles. We're in a very tumultuous moment right now. We're seeing big red candles every day, right? But that will end and we'll be in a more steady decline. And then at that point, it's, the tide has gone out. We know who's left, naked. And anybody that's still in the boat is going to get a check. And so I think that we're going to see lots of upgrades. We're going to see stronger but fewer companies. And those companies getting bigger checks are going to get, a better opportunity to get their domain name. And, I think that there's a lot of capital going into healthcare. There's a lot of capital going into genomics, which is sort of a subdivision of what I would call health. And then you've got a lot of capital going into automation, AI,
Yeah,
there's like five
yeah,
mega
all that
trends that are
kind of
not
tech
going away. It doesn't
so
matter what
let's pass
happens
it
with markets.
Yeah, no, I think that, and so Miller, I mean, because you the last couple of weeks have been great for you. And would you agree with the assessment? And talk a little bit about what's
Yeah.
been good with you and that stuff.
So I agree with Drew, first of all, that emerging growth, which is largely venture backed, is the key to driving most domain deals. I do agree with Drew. There's a lot of dry powder in the VC community. And I think that dry powder we're going to flip now, where for the last 4 years, the company dictated the valuation and the VC said, okay, we're now going to flip where the VCs dictate the valuation a lot more than the companies because of the current environment, right? And I think what Drew may have missed a little bit covering is, because I have a couple of real world scenarios, I'm not going to be able to give examples, but there were companies that raised money, at 8 billion or 4 billion post money, and now they need more capital and they're going to get it at 1 billion if they raised it at 4, or 2 billion if they got it at 8. This is the VC/PE firm's chance to ratchet down and do what they do. I also think some of that dry powder is reserved to save good companies that are going to make it and get them through a tough time, as much as it is to find new ones. But it's both. What I find, Drew made the comment about negligent, strong words, which I agree with, about, it's negligent and it's unethical and all this to not have your exact match. Yet and we've improved so much in the last 2 years, and I know you guys do too. I have this conversation with others. I still bump into every single day, every day of the week, 1, 2, 4 companies that should have their exact. I have like the world's greatest exact match portfolio right now I'm representing, and like I bump into some companies that should. If you agree they're negligent, their product is called blank. Their website and address is longer and not.
Hold on.
Let me finish.
Because you're taking my words out of context. I very, very specifically said, if you are a financial institution.
Okay.
If you are a consumer product company, then you're just stupid. But if you're a financial institution,
fair enough,
then you're negligent.
Fair enough. So let's go back to stupid. Okay. I'm still let's use the word stupid. I'm still seeing, more stupid than I would like. Okay. More
story of my life.
Uninformed, right? More companies that just don't quite yet, despite a lot of founders and CEO case studies and stories and deals getting done every day, that still don't understand that they're missing the boat and the mistake they're making there. And it's, all I try to do is help them, right?
Yeah, well, we try and educate them. And to that point, so we have a new show coming up. I don't want to, so for what it's worth, so the audience understands, because hopefully by now we'll have our RS feed stuff fixed. We're working on that so that our shows are, because we've got a new show in the can with that involves Chris, where we really do get into the idea of like, inside sort of the mind of the end users as far as how they, how they approach domains, how you get them to appreciate the value of the domain, and ultimately get them to spend what the seller is trying to sell a domain for, because that's ultimately what we're trying to do. And a lot of times is try to build to that intersection. And and I'm with you. I mean, the key is, and that's part of even what we do here, is not just to help educate in domain investors, but also just people in general on the true value domain. So, well, we're going to get into the domain game in a minute. Josh,
can I just finish my last? Because I was wrapping my last
point. Please go ahead.
So look. So with that said, I had four closed deals last week. Seasons.com end user VC end user buyer. Yachts.com end user buyer. Electra.com end user buyer, and 2 more that are in escrow, so I can't talk about them, but we'll next show. And those have all been really solid. Are they home.coms? No, but they've been really strong deals from my standpoint, always for both, but for the seller.
Well, none of those
So,
names are actually home.com, right? So the deals should equivalent, wouldn't necessarily be equivalent. We actually talked about Electra on the show that I'm talking about. So we're only behind a week just because we got to get the syndication stuff squared away, which we're working on. But I love how it all ties together. And and we'll talk more about some of that stuff too. Josh, what about you as far as your view on kind of how all of this is going to play into domains? And you're probably the most active buyer seller on a daily basis out of everybody on this show at the moment. What's your thoughts? Are you seeing any softening on prices as a
So
buyer?
I'm probably the least active of anyone on the show right now, actually. But that will probably change. And the fact of the matter is, the last year or so, I haven't spent that much time on it. So what I'm seeing today could have that could have something to do with it. But what I'm seeing today is a massive slowdown in the last month to 45 days to 60 days. My sales have dropped off completely. And obviously a lot of my names are in the lower end of the market. So I'm not thinking so much about VC funded money. I'm thinking more about, your smaller businesses, your small businesses that are starting up, or they've got a business idea and they're looking to spend anywhere from $3,000 to $15,000. That's where the majority of my sales typically come from. And I can say for sure the last 45 to 60 days it's down significantly.
Mm-hmm.
And people with larger portfolios than me that I speak to on a regular basis have said the same thing. And they have a little bit more consistency in what they do. So it's pretty clear that spending on domain names, even at the lower level, is down. I would expect that to kind of hold up. I would expect that to hold up better than the more premium names going forward. But as of right now, I think everyone is kind of trying to spend less and
well, absolutely. And I think and I think we're seeing a little bit of what we even saw when COVID first hit, right? Where there was that period of nobody knew what we were dealing with. And everybody just, everybody tried to go to cash, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly what I think.
And just slow down to on a wait and see approach. And I think you absolutely get that from, like you said, smaller businesses, people where a couple $1,000s really do move the needle. Or somebody with a business idea and they're like, all right, now is just not the time because let's just make sure we've got our shit together. So look, all great points, and Drew, you got a point to make, and then we'll slide into the domain game.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're just seeing the beginning of, layoffs, and, it's very difficult for a company to justify making domain acquisitions in, at the same time that they're laying off employees. So, look, like I said, I think 3 to 6 months is going to be people sitting on their hands. But on the back of that, I feel pretty strong that the only growth that will happen in the world will be on the internet and in energy markets, and so I think domains will just continue to be strong.
Mm-hmm.
I think prices probably won't be where they were, right? Where we were in this environment where it was like everyoneword.com 7 figures, right? It's like, well, that wasn't going to be sustainable. So, these prices are going to come down. I've got, brokers emailing me going, oh, you want to buy this domain name, $350,000. It's a great deal, man. And it's like, dude, in 3 months, hit me back when that domain is $50,000. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, I think, look, we're in the middle of the wood chopper right now. And so until that's over, nothing to talk about. You know what I mean? It's just, you're going to get your ass handed to you. You got to just be ready to buy opportunistically. That's where money's made right now. The only money that's going to get made now is buying opportunistically, being patient, being aware. But yeah, I mean.
And would you say on the sell side, it's not?
But I think on the back side of this, I think premiums move first. I think that, small businesses, medium-sized businesses are going to have a harder time here than, the selective winners of big business, the selective winners of VC-backed startups, right? They're going to capture more market share. Big players are going to get more market share. Big, well-capitalized players that are positioned well for what's coming are going to get more market share, more revenue, wider margins. And it doesn't happen overnight, but that is ultimately what will happen. Consolidation, and those players will be great customers you know, but again, in probably closer to 6 months, you know, when we're out of the wood chopper.
Yeah.
And look,
No.
I agree with you. It's a great time to buy. Okay. But it's also a great time to sell if you have, you know, I can speak about, for example, you know, one of my recent deals that I just named where, you know, I ended up, you know, the seller had a price that they wanted and I brought them what I thought was a really awesome offer. Okay. That was significantly below our agreed contractual price.
Mhm.
Okay. Our agreed contractual price I thought was a little bit pie in the sky, but not unachievable, or I wouldn't do it. It was here. And I brought them what I thought was a really awesome offer, ready to go here. And within 10 seconds, they said, we're excited, we accept it, right? So everyone, you know, everyone adjusted down a little bit. The buyer got a great domain for a brand. They rebrand the VC at a, you know, under 7-figure, just under, but like a great price, just under. And the seller was really happy, and I thought it was a great price. So
Yeah.
it's a great chance to buy for sure. But that also can mean a great chance to buy doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad time to sell if you're willing to be malleable with your expectations, which have gotten a little bit out of control.
Right.
Well,
So,
I
no,
think
I think it
that's
helps
exactly
temper
it.
people,
It's
yeah.
exactly that. It's manage expectations.
Exactly.
That's it, right? And I think that's ultimately what we're trying to do here is manage expectations. It's like,
I agree.
look, you're not going to get the prices you were getting. Okay, if you've got opportunities to sell. You know, like,
Well, and it's fun, you know. So Chris, you know, he posted this on LinkedIn the other day. He was saying,
Yeah.
like, you know, how many people who, you know, had these incredible offers on Web3 and crypto domains, you know, were holding out for, you know, call it the Rick Schwartz offers, right? And that will now never come, right? So in the offers that they were getting were probably, you know, 100x what they paid for the domain, probably a number that a year earlier they would have been like celebrating, and instead, you know, you know, they're like just always on the wrong side.
We brought an 8-figure offer for DeFi.com, right? And the guy didn't take it, you know, like, and he's our client, and, you know, respect, you know, as Andrew says, it's below our reserve price. Okay. So nothing I can do. It's his decision. But I tried to help him understand, look, you got an 8-figure. We've scorched the earth. You got one buyer. There was 2, but one buyer at 8 figures.
Yeah. And then,
Said no. And I mean, that's it. That game is over. Like, you aren't going to see DeFi, you know, it's over for a while. So,
no, great. It's an interesting thing, and timing matters, you know, and I think that's where, but that's also going to dictate people that are going to win and people are going to lose. And sometimes it's like we say here in the South, you know, pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you got to be careful which side of that equation you end up on. All right. So now we've got about 30 minutes. So we got a lot to pack in a short period of time. So we're going to go quickly through the domain game. Miller, I'm going to start with you because we always start here and then go down. I'm never going to get the order right as far as trying to match
like
everybody is on my camera and screen. But you go first. And, you know, like I said, we're going to go quick and then slide into the names. And since we covered so much on the front end, we won't have a ton in closing. But I know, Miller, you got a few things to talk about there. So let's, you know, try to save a couple minutes at the end. And let's do what we do. What you got?
So I'm actually not going to be a great one for this week because you know, the one sale that I could talk about the price, which was Yachtscom, got reported.
Yeah.
So
well, we all get the point.
It's out there. I was going to use that yesterday, and then, you know, the seller decided to post a blog about the price and took away my thunder. So that was 600,000.
Yeah, which he bought for $350. Is that what he bought it for?
He bought for $350. Yep.
And that's Eric Borgos. And yeah, I mean, that was a great deal. And you know, great,
awesome.
Yeah, for him. And what I thought was really interesting, really fast about that I thought was cool was that, you know, talked about, and Andrew Alleman posted, I think it was an article talking about it, how, you know, Eric had attempted to make that work for several different businesses. It didn't work. But then he still made more money selling the domain than he probably would have running any one of those businesses for a few years. So it was like, you know, I think it's a really cool point and an interesting thing to show. It's like, you know, so the investment that he made in the domain ended up being the smartest thing that he could have done with that entire venture, because then when it was all said and done, he made a couple $100,000, and it was like, and gave it a real shot in earnest to develop a real, you know, an actual business, you know? So You know, it's like if that's not.
I mean, the reality is he literally just launched that website like a few months ago. Like he didn't really give it an earnest shot at running a business.
Well, I guess okay,
to be
fine.
clear.
My point is though, I think it's a great use case example of the idea of investing in a premium domain as a way to kick the business off. And then even when the business didn't work or didn't work for him, even if it was a short period of time, you know, he still ended up a big winner at the end of the day. So I thought.
And look, Eric, you know, I think Eric's a great, good friend here and native of East Greenwich, Rhode Island, and
Narragansett, Rhode Island.
Oh, you got some
he
New
lived in
England
East
shit
Greenwich.
happening in here. This is some.
Oh, then maybe he moved.
Where's
but
the
he lived in
chowder?
Narragansett. He lived
Chowder.
right by the. He lived right by the Coast Guard house.
He moved.
I don't know if he,
So
maybe
anyway,
he moved.
Yeah,
he did. So anyway, regardless,
Green Monster.
he look. I mean, I think he was very forthright in this, right? He people thought he was crazy to pay $350. You know, I don't. So I think it's like, I think that was a little aggressive, but like, you know, look, it wasn't crazy. He sold it for, you know, at the end of the day, a pretty awesome ROI, and especially considering market environments. So, you know, it worked out. I think I don't think there was a ton of risk at 350, and I don't think there was the 5 to 10x, but there wasn't a ton of risk, and you know, so on that one, that was pretty good. Other than that, I have not. I have a couple things in buying right now that I unfortunately could wait till the next show because they're not closed deals and they're in escrow. So I guess I could make something up. But yeah, I was planning on coming in with an awesome one, a rare Andrew Miller non-NDA with yachts, and it got kind of spoiled. So I guess instead of guessing it, we talk about what we think about the Eric's deal and the price, and I'm going to have to withdraw from the game because I can't make anything up on the fly.
That's all right. We don't have a lot of time anyway. So Josh, what do you got, man? What do you got as far as a buy or sell? But yeah, I think that's a good point. We did cover some ground there.
I haven't bought a domain for a long time. I think the last time I bought a domain is like I bought one on the show, like maybe like 4 months ago, just so that I had like bought a domain and I wasn't just completely out of the game.
You really are like kind of. What's taking up all your time? Is it Zed? Is it?
Dude, I'm just. No,
he's got his
I'm
dad
trying to
Zed.
sit on my hands. I'm trying to sit on my hands, build up a nice little stash, and you know, all the brokers listening. You know, when you go to Drew, just send me a DM. Send me a DM. I'm in the same boat. I'll buy. They're just like, not right now. Just not right now.
Come to me when you're a little more realistic. Yeah, all right. So do you have a sale? What you got? You got something?
Yeah, I sold one the other day, just a small one. Like these are the kind of sales that I have. It was motorfi.com. So motorfi.com.
All right.
And what is it? FI Motor?
No, Motorfi.
Motorfi.
Motorfi. Okay.
Motorfi.
Is it a buy or a sell?
It's a sell.
All right. What happened to Miller?
I'm here. Sorry.
Roll call.
Sorry.
It's like the Socratic method in law school. You know what I'm saying? You're getting called on. You're looking off in the window. You're going to get yourself called on.
I've been on this crazy diet, down 24 pounds, and I was sneaking my little diet snack here, and I was on. Nice. I put myself on mute, and I forgot to take myself off.
Hey, good for you, man. You know, it's that time of year, man. Hey, if you're not getting in shape now, you know, you'd be wearing a t-shirt in the swimming pool. So which is, hey, nothing wrong with that though. You know, anyway, go ahead, Drew. What Drew's at? Go ahead. What's your guess?
28,888. No, $2,888.
All right, and I will say, in the interest of keeping it moving, I'm gonna say 49999. Buy it now. That's how it went down.
And I will say, I'm gonna say 1,050.
1,050.
All right, 4599.
Yeah, I'm gonna get myself some of my own merch, baby, and plus we got the 8-bin merch. That's what's going out to some folks today.
Let's go, JT.
Let's go. I might get myself one of my own hoodies.
I only went low because this backstory of buying it for the show and that whole thing. But
I didn't actually buy it for the show. I don't know when I bought this. Just
okay.
Yeah. I think
all right,
the
cool.
one that I bought for the show, I just remember looking back on it and being like, "Wow, that's a terrible name." And like the Pixie raised $200.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Drew, what about you, man? What do you got? A buy or a sell?
Buy.
All right.
Sweet.
I mean, we could talk about, Gala.com that we sold for mad 7 figures. We ain't talking about $1 million. We're talking about mad money, but we're not allowed to. I got to play a little bit of that Miller game. You know what I'm
I
saying?
know we got Miller on the show. It's like we got to flex a little bit, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean,
I hope we sold that for at least 7 figures. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think we put up. I think we put up some pretty good numbers over the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
What'd you buy, Drew? Maximility or something? Don't do that one.
No, Maximal.com. I did buy that actually. Bought that yesterday, but you saw that, so.
Yeah.
And then Elliot wrote a blog about it, so fuck it. No, all right.
God knows why.
672.com.
Oh, we're getting back in the number game.
Well,
huh?
I actually bought Maximal.com. I might even make it my email address just because I'm going to be a maximalist. You know what I mean?
Maximal.com, baby. Maximal. Mad Maximal. Oh, there's another AKA Mad Maximal.
Every bear market makes me more and more of a Bitcoin maximalist.
For sure. But all right, so we going with 672.com.
You know what's actually crazy about Maximal.com? Just quick little side story here. I actually asked Chris to buy Maximal.com for me. I had him reach out on Maximal.com, Maximalist.com, and something else. There was like 3 of them. And it was owned by EMC. He reached out. They didn't even reply. This is like 60 days ago. They didn't even reply. And then Schwipps, they let it expire. And I got it for half of the budget that I gave Chris to go buy it for me.
Yeah. You got to love when that happens. All right, let's do 672. And then we're not even going to do an official. So, you know what, Billy, don't even worry about the scores, because if Miller didn't put up a name, and then after this one, we'll get to whatever Drew bought it for, since I can't guess on it anyway. And then we're going to slide right into names.
Plus, you got so much catching up to do on awards and prizes from past scores. It's better to just take a refresher on the scoreboard.
We got the zoo hoodies with the embroidered zoo.
I got the one good merchandise was the BACYC hat.
Oh,
the dad hat. You got the dad hat.
I did. I'm a dad, man. That's what I got. All right, I'm going to go first.
I'm going
to go first on 672. Nice.
Yeah, so
I'm going to go first on 672.
Yeah, go.
It has to
mean like Rain Man.
Probably has to
I bought my underwear at Kmart.
Just to keep things moving, man. It has to mean something. Has to. I don't know what it means, but I'm going to say 15,000 even.
15. 3 characters.
This guy acts like he's a.
Wait. Just wait, Drew. Just wait.
All right, go ahead. I mean, Josh, you might as well just,
I'm gonna say 90,000. Say you got a good deal.
Oh,
90,
right?
Yeah, I can't go.
All right. Yeah.
90.
All right. So literally, Josh nailed it. I got it for exactly 90,000, which I believe is a really good deal.
Yeah.
Just give me a hoodie, JT, right now.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't do well. I'm not like I keep nothing I hate in life more nothing than like a school fundraiser where they have the fake casino events and you have to sit there and play for fake money. I mean, I'm in Vegas here. Like I'm a gambler. I'm down at the blackjack tables after this podcast. Okay. So, we're not playing for anything. So I guess I gave a crappy answer.
No, well, but I will say, for Miller, it's interesting because, and definitely Josh is more in the weeds on the, the numerics, that kind of stuff. I mean, that's its own sort of space. I feel like that's not really your jam. Your jam is really.
It's not my jam as much, but it's also, look, we're talking about Mr. Maximalist.com in a Mr. Bearish of Bears. buying in a downward spiraling market. So I figured it had to be like,
yeah, but three character numerics, there's only 1,000 of them. You know what I mean? It's like when you talk about them as collectibles into their own right and everything else. And the Asian market comes back.
Other than two-number.coms are the most rare.
I understand LLL's value to the Asian market, but again, I also thought maybe just a small chance that, in the environment we're in and the mentality of Drew, that this was like a steal of steals that he was excited to announce.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, well, all good. Look,
capitulation sell.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of capitulation.
Well, I think that is. I mean, most of these things trade in the 150, 250 range.
Yeah.
And no fours. It's got a 7, which isn't ideal, but it's got no zeros, no fours. I think it's a pretty good buy. But really, honestly, I like these really ultra unique domain names. It's like, we've got rrr.com, 672.com, got a couple of repeating letter, 2letter.orgs. And, these things are like, they're 101s. You can't, so you sit on it and who knows, someday it's worth 10X.
Who bought you 672.com? Was it an e-name broker?
No, who was it? I don't know. It was I don't even know. Somebody in the Middle East.
So so that's what's up. All right, well, so the domain game, again, we covered a lot of ground just about the market and all that. The domain game was good, bring up a little bit of insight on some names, but we still got a whole list of NameJet names to talk about and about 15, 20 minutes to do it. So really quick, before we get into that, we're going to jump to a commercial, and then we'll be right back here on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains.
Media Options is the industry's leading domain broker specializing in domain acquisitions, high-value domain sales, and domain name consultation. As pioneers and thought leaders on the subject of the domain aftermarket and domain name value, plus through their clear domain acquisition service, Media Options offers startups and established corporations an unparalleled scope of high-value domain options, providing access to domain names and curation technologies not available elsewhere. Media Options believes in the power of a great domain name and is dedicated to helping you obtain yours. Call or email today to put a domain to work for you.
What's up, everybody? We're back on the show. Let's get it cracking. We're about to slide into NameJet and a Jet, sponsored by our friends at NameJet. We got a big old list today. We got about 20 names on the list. Same thing as usual. Get to the site. You can go to the post for this particular episode, pull down the spreadsheet, which will give you the domain, the Esteban appraisal, how many back orders as of the time we record, how many days left as of the time we air. There is going to be a little bit of a gap here between when we, because like I said, we've got to get this backlog of episodes out the door, but it won't take that long, as well as a little bit other data, minimum bid, all that good stuff. We've got... like I said, a bunch of names, some pretty interesting stuff here on the list today. Drew, what do you like? What do you don't like? Let's dive right in.
All right. Where is it? Here it is. Okay. So, you know what? I don't even know. I love Tinkerbell.com. I love it. That's
like the one. It's like whoever gets to go first gets to say that one. You know what
I mean? Trademark concerns though, Drew?
I mean, look, am I gonna make my logo a fairy? No, but I mean, I think Tinkerbell.com, it could be, a food brand, consumer brand, it could be, crypto brand, it could be, the female version of Coinbase. It could be a lot of things. Fairy dust is powerful stuff. You know what I'm saying?
It's a great name, but I personally cannot imagine anyone putting real money into that with the risk of an issue with Disney. No matter how you cut it.
But you're not going to get.
Wait, what was the line? I like that a lot, though. What did you say? Fairy dust is powerful stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's gonna be the title of the name. That's the title of the show. Or Pixie dust is powerful stuff.
It's a Disney mark. It is. It's not a generic term. It's not a known term. It's a friggin' name of a Disney branded fairy that is worldwide.
So is Frozen.
Different animal.
Get out of here. Listen.
I'll tell you.
Tinkerbell.com is an amazing brand. Amazing brand.
And
they didn't invent Tinkerbell.
No question.
Tinkerbell is a thing.
Well, and check it out. You actually have a non-Disney Tinkerbell trademark out there for a Korean company, but it's a U.S. trademark for incubators for bacteria culture, apparatus for laboratory use. So
That's what I'm talking about.
So it's already, I mean, it's
They're
expandable.
gonna Tinkerbell, fairy dust. She's gonna take starch and turn it into proteins that are gonna solve all human health problems. You know
Not going to change not changing my mind on this one. So
Tinkerbell is she's where it's at. I'm down with Tinkerbell, I'll tell you that much.
I love it, but I
agree.
touch it.
Miller, I agree with you, man. I wouldn't touch it.
I wouldn't go with. Let me put it this way: you're wrong. Josh and I are right. I could bring on Lieberman. Like, it's a fucking direct Disney brand. Disney. It's not Frozen. Disney created Tinkerbell as a character 60 years ago, and it's there. It's not a generic word. It's a single specific fairy, and anyone who's using it is running the risk, if they get too big, of getting shut down, and they will get shut down, and they will lose the UDRP. They will.
I don't know if Disney created the name, though.
So,
I don't know that
they did.
They did. Listen. First off, for all of our listeners, just remember the motto of the show: listen to Drew or lose money. Okay. Second of all, just to educate you a little something about intellectual property law, trademark law. Like, trademarks are for a specific class for a specific amount of time, right? And this is, I'm not saying I'm going to launch a company that sells, fairy pajamas.
I don't care what you do.
But
I think
if you launch a health tech, if you launch a crypto company, if you launch, you are not going to lose a domain. They have no.
I disagree
standing.
vehemently.
None. Zero. They
You know
will
what?
lose.
So let's do this.
I could not disagree with you more.
We don't have a lot of time left on the show, but we'll hold off on this, and we'll get some actual.
You are a freaking intellectual property.
I know.
Well, you sell this. Hello.
Yes, I mean, look. Here's my issue. I would agree more with Drew than with you guys. I think when you actually look at Tinkerbell, the origin is from the Peter Pan story, which was written in 1902. I don't know that Disney has exclusive rights to. I mean, it wasn't. They didn't write it. They didn't create it. So well, think about
the fact that they didn't create it changes the length of time that they have rights to the mark.
But to
We're
Drew's,
not going to resolve this today.
But to Drew's point, wait.
Good luck. Who wants to go?
So talking about the etymology, the name is one thing, but to Drew's point, trademarks exist per class of goods and services, right? So I think that there is no doubt the ability to use the name Tinkerbell for things that are not Disney, fairy, Peter Pan related that can be used commercially. It already exists. There's already a registered trade. There's already a registered trademark that is not by Disney, guys.
In the US.
Yes, in the US.
But there are caveats, right? To that. It's like,
what do you mean? There's no caveats.
Yes, there is. There is. When it's as famous as Tinkerbell, right? Everyone knows about Tinkerbell. It's like Coca-Cola. It's like
MickeyMouse.com. It's like
I can't create. Hold on.
You could use if Tinkerbell.com came out right now.
Launch a skateboard company that manufactures skateboards, unless Coca-Cola has done it.
Yeah, can you call it Coca-Cola?
Not Coca-Cola, Disney,
you can
but yeah.
have a Coca-Cola skateboard. Okay,
Disney.
As long as Coca-Cola has never done skateboards, then what are you talking about?
You're saying
I'm
Coca-Cola.
about Coca-Cola.
No, I'm saying Coca-Cola.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Listen,
yeah.
I could take Coca-Cola and turn it into a skateboard brand. Okay, now maybe this is a bad example. Maybe Coca-Cola did, got trademarks in skateboarding because they sponsored something or something. Whatever. My point is, if you build shit, yachts, and you want to call your yacht company Coca-Cola, have at it. Now,
Disagree.
Doesn't mean that they won't contend it. What do you mean? This is the law.
But that's exactly the point. That's exactly the point. Doesn't mean that they won't contend it. They will contend it.
And they'll file a UDRP. And they probably
UDRP doesn't mean shit to a tree. We're talking about it means something if you're a domain investor. If you're launching a company, if somebody files a UDRP against you, you're like, go to pound sand. You're gonna immediately file.
We're talking about Tinkerbell.com and whether it's a good domain name. We're not talking about.
I think even if we're keeping it a pretty simple example, Tinkerbell.com as a crypto trading platform, in my opinion, would be okay. Would not be trademarked.
This is already solved.
Good luck.
Robin Hood, you stupid prick, you stupid bastard. We already have Robin Hood.
So
this shit is already solved.
anyway, but yeah, so anyway, we're all good. But
Sorry, I don't mean to call you a stupid prick, but I like getting excited when I'm right.
we'll get some other opinions too off of this could be its own show into itself.
I'm not sure, but who owns the rights to Robinhood? I think that it's complicated. That's complicated. Robinhood is not owned by Disney. Is not owned by a big.
Well, let's not go down that rabbit hole. Let's not go down that Robin hole. But
what I'm saying is Robinhood was not a fictional character created by Disney.
we're saying neither was Tinkerbell.
Bad analogy. Terrible.
What do you think?
Tinkerbell.
What do you think? Disney makes the
Tinkerbell
law?
was created by the author of Peter Pan back in like 1902, man, before Disney existed.
Look, Disney owns all rights to Peter Pan forever. They built entire theme park rides and.
But that's not the way copyright.
Movies.
But that's not also the way
Bottom
copyright
line.
and trademark law. I'm just saying, like, for the purposes of it, all comes down to trademark law. All comes down to customer confusion, right? The whole idea is to prevent you as a customer from going into a store and buying some shit, thinking that you're buying that the origin of those goods are from a particular source, right? And instead, it's someone else, meaning like you think that you're buying Tide brand detergent, but you're actually buying some poison from some, company that is not as reputable as whoever owns Tide. It's probably all the same, rolls up to, Procter & Gamble or whatever. But, so it's the idea is the origin, it's the source of goods to eliminate customer confusion, right? Mm-hmm. The idea of Tinkerbell as a crypto trading platform, people would not confuse that with Disney unless Disney has a trademark in that particular class of goods and services. I don't know which one that would be, 42 or whatever, class that would be for that particular use. Then, you should be good to go. Does that mean Disney
can
still
call a crypto company Mickey Mouse? Because there's no difference to me.
Well, it is different actually, because Mickey Mouse was actually created by Disney. But anyway, let's not get into the weeds on this because we really only have like 10 minutes left, and we're one name in. But I think it's a great discussion. You know what? Let's see if Barry Hill or Zach or Lieberman or somebody wants to opine on this once the show comes out, and maybe we can get a blog post or something and put it up on Media Options, something like that, or on Sherpa. That'd be pretty dope. So, all right. Well, let's leave it as agree to disagree.
Pretty sure Barry Hill will love to come in and dunk on me or something.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't have. Look, I know my shit.
And Steven won't because you're a good customer. So at the end of the day.
No, Zach will. Zach's pretty even keeled, and Zach's also like he's I don't want to have Barry Hill in the room because he'll dunk on me, and I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? Like I know my shit, but he really knows.
If I ask my 10 largest venture capital firms that I advise on domains, would you put $100 million of new money into building a brand of a company called Tinkerbell? It would be 10
a different story.
Unanimously, no.
It's a different.
You just
story.
went from
whether everybody. There you go.
I think the right person would say, I'm interested. Let's see what the lawyers have to say, and then the lawyers would say, yeah, this would be allowable. But at least that's my opinion. But anyway, so still a great domain. And just like we say on the show every single time, every domain is a certain value at a certain price, right? Would you pay $500,000 for Tinkerbell? No. But would you pay $5,000 today for Tinkerbell? I mean, of course you would, right? So, because at the minimum, you're going to sell it for more than that, right? So what else, Drew? What else you like?
I wouldn't touch it.
You wouldn't pay $5,000 for Tinkerbell right now?
I'd pay $5 and give it to Disney for 10.
None of you should touch it because I'm going to buy it.
Good.
There you go.
Just leave it alone.
Everyone stay away.
All right. I want to like the emo.org, except that it makes me think about, these trolls that I just don't like.
Emos?
The emo goth, like that kind of vibe.
The names the trolls whose names shall not be spoken.
They look like goblins. Not anyone goth. I'm saying we're talking about very specific individuals that names cannot be mentioned on the show.
Yeah. But, they look like they're garbage pail kids. I love short names. So KJ.org, there's a ton of famous people named KJ. All of them probably would love to have KJ.org for some price. Smart ads, but there's probably a trademark there. Innovation Capital is probably, for the right price, sit on that for a few years. It's probably somebody going to be called Innovation Capital. They're all kind of just good names. There's not Tinkerbell's the only one.
Leave some for someone else.
Yeah, Tinkerbell's the only one I really love.
All right, so who's next on? Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Let's go.
Mine are quick. By the way, for the record, I love the Tinkerbell name in general as a name, but I wouldn't buy it. I'm in Vegas, so the blackjack casino is amusing for me today.
I even put the two smart domains because of Marcus Smart. I thought we might be coming off of a Celtics victory. You know what I mean? I thought maybe give that to you.
The blackjack casino is interesting. I mean, very specific usage, and I'm not buying it, but I think it's cool. I mean, for the right online gaming company, I think it's a good term. I think it's a good search term for sure. All the big guys, FanDuel, DraftKings, everyone's starting to launch online gaming, and it's just an SEO play. It's probably a pretty good pickup. Mm-hmm. I think it's a pretty I haven't looked at the data, but relatively good search term. And then I kind of like I love it.com. I'm having a little success with some of these expressions.
You know what? Isn't that a I was gonna say, but you know what? I think I love it. Isn't that a Paris Hilton trademark?
Oh, I don't know.
No idea.
you have I'm loving it, which is that Burger King? I'm loving it, right? That's
and I'm going to take the complete opposite thing. Even if she does have a trademark on I love it, there's no way that's deterring me from I love it.com.
So
no way.
She just enforced. She's got a few of these things that she says that so prolifically, and she just enforced her trademark on somebody big. Like she went after a corporation that was using it.
I know.
I forget which one.
I know her. I know her through for a variety of reasons. So I will. Maybe I can point it out to her and see if she wants to grab it off NameJet, or I'll buy it for her. But that aside, I think it's a cool look. I've had some. I'm advising on bringit.com and bebold.com, and I'm getting pretty good conversations and interest around those kind of names. These expression-driven names. Be bold. Bring it.
Sure.
And I kind of look, and if it is indeed Paris's trademark, or she's behind I love it, then it makes it even more powerful. So I think it's a cool little sleeper on the list, honestly.
Yeah, I love the colloquialisms. I'm a huge fan. Expressions, like I always think that those are the kind, especially the stuff that's positive, actualizing things like that. I think without a doubt, to me, I'm always a fan. So, and I don't know what her rights are with regards to that, but. All right, cool. Josh, what about you? What's on the list that
Yeah, fuck that. She's got no rights to that. I love it. That's my favorite name. I'm taking that name. I'm buying that name. I love it.
Compete with me.
That's so good. That's such a good name.
Let me know if you want to go 50-50 if we were competing with one another.
Yeah. We can love it together.
And I'm loving it's McDonald's, by the way. But I love it. I love it. Love it.
Yeah. So that's my favorite name. Innovation Capital is a name that I would like to put in my portfolio for the right price. The problem is probably still going too high. Not that I've participated in any of these auctions because I got so sick and tired of the prices over the last 2 years, I would say, at NameJet.
Yeah.
But at the right price, I buy that type of name for $500. Innovation Capital, great name for $500, and then I'd stick a 10 grand, 15 grand buy it now on it.
Yep.
But the problem is, it probably goes for $5 grand. So,
yeah,
and that's the problem. Two-letter.orgs. I love the two-letter.orgs. I think that those are always good to have. Like Drew said, I would make a play for that. But the thing is I'm never going to spend more than 10 grand on a name like that. Does it go higher than that? I don't know. But yeah, like all the names on the list are pretty good. I agree with a lot of the ones that were picked out, apart from Tinkerbell. Wouldn't touch it.
Wouldn't touch Tinkerbell. All right. You wouldn't touch Tinkerbell, but you love I love it. All right. Well, that's good. And I think
but they're so different, right? That's complete. I love it is completely generic.
Oh, of course. I think those are opposite ends of the spectrum. Exactly. I think you're talking about an expression that is as generic as you can get because it's just something said in every day. Although there are a bunch of trademark applications and stuff that seem to be around it, but I don't know that any of that would be really, preclude you from wanting to buy it.
I would expect there to be loads of trademark applications from loads of different companies because of how generic it is.
Exactly. That's another thing that I think people need to understand too, is just because somebody has, if it's generic, then it probably is even more likely that it's got multiple uses across various, goods and services that.
For sure.
give you
Trademarks isn't a
more-
bad thing. It's a great thing. You want to own names that have trademarks.
Well, because if you're
But
also
you
looking
wanna-
at multiple
but you wanna-
companies to be able to try to target to sell it to,
Right.
right? For us, I mean, who are,
Oh.
with the outbound that we do, one of the first things we do is try to understand how many people are using some variation of whatever the domain is to figure out what the target looks like, or the target
I
list.
don't see anything when I Google her, and I love it, but that doesn't mean it's not.
Yeah, I don't know what her. I thought
What
I
did
heard
she
shit
say?
like
What?
that.
Because isn't it?
Well, she does the whole
something like
that's
that.
hot or whatever. That's like
She has a
hot.
I think
perfume
that's
line.
hot. That's
She has a
hot is the
perfume
one
line.
she sued for, I think.
okay.
Really? And did she?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
she won?
yeah.
How did she win?
I don't know if it's settled. These things, this was like a few months ago, but I think she talked about it when she was on Jimmy Kimmel. She was like, "I like her. She, I don't like everything, but she's a badass. She's like,
She
Yeah,
is a
no,
badass.
she came
don't,
up like
she's like, don't come at me. You're using my line. She's like, I'm gonna own your ass. She's a gangster. I like that.
well, and I will say this too, and this is Miller's homegirl, right? Back when she first came on the scene, like it was kind of like, debutante, socialite, like entitled, like all this kind of stuff. But watching her like come around and get more involved, like NFTs and some of this other kind of shit, personality wise, like you said, she's pretty cool. Like the vibe, like she's like she's doing her thing. Like there's more there, I think, than probably what a lot of people assume. And obviously
She
she's
was a
been-
kid, dude. 20
So.
years old.
Totally.
20 years old.
Yeah, I just said I gave her a compliment. I was being positive.
Right.
I said
I'm saying she's
you know,
super smart.
and the
super
level of
smart.
privilege
smart.
though is crazy, right? So that her like whole like point of view is not exactly like regular people, but I think she's like watching the whole vibe around all the NFT stuff where we've gotten more exposure to her like in different ways. I say she's doing a damn thing, man. She's out there like trying to make it happen. It's almost like the Kardashians, right? A lot of people, there's so much hate and all this kind of stuff. I'm not like a fan, right? But I can definitely appreciate the hustle that they've been able to create this empire. There's plenty of chicks that have had, there are plenty of females that have had sex tapes and, use their sex appeal, for, to make money and everything else. But the empire that they have built around all of their stuff is is incredible. Like what the fuck?
Unbelievable.
crazy.
Like epic all-time story, Harvard case study, like amazing,
Yes.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Absolutely. So, all right. Well, with that, we're going to
both
close.
of them. Who's the other one?
Well, he's saying Paris, and then also like Kim Kardashian or the Kardashian.
All the
empire, if you
Kardashians,
will.
the whole crew, every one of them.
Yeah. Oh, they're all like entities and enormous, empires into
And
themselves.
a lot of the Real Housewives, Bethany Frankel. I mean, some of these guys have really leveraged themselves in a pretty incredible way.
Oh yeah.
Pamela Anderson did it first, so let's just be honest.
Yo, big shout out. She's the OG.
She's
Come
the
on,
OG.
let's go.
She laid the roadmap.
I think
So-
Jane Fonda's the OG, honestly.
Okay, are we going? Let's go back. Shit, we're gonna keep it moving. All right, no, a couple points here was we're coming into a close, so that's the list. Definitely check it out. You got a couple of days from the time we air to when these domains will go, but you do have to get your back orders in before the end of the back order period. Otherwise, you will not be able to participate, as these are all expiring domains going to private auction. So you got to have a back order in to be able to participate in those auctions. So definitely check those out. A couple big shout out to Dan.com, our other big sponsor. I shout them out in the beginning. I'm shouting them out at the end. They've got a lot of really cool, exciting things going on with them. So if you're not utilizing them, definitely, you need to fix your shit. We got NamesCon coming up, NamesCon Global coming up at the end of August in Austin, Texas. We will have a promo code on the DomainSherpa site so just go to this episode and go down into the notes. You'll see a promo code, get 20% off your tickets. I'll be Master of Ceremonies along with Krista Gable on stage 1. We're super excited about that. We've got the big auction with Right at the Dot, Monty, Wayne Wheat, Scott, and team. And there's just going to be a ton of, amazing content, and people have not seen each other in person for a long time. So we will be back in the building. And so for everybody who's thinking about doing that, get yourself a ticket, save a little bit of money by using our promo code. We do not get paid off the promo code, but we're just doing that because we love y'all. All right, Miller, you got about 30 seconds. You got some big news, man. I know it's kind of already been out there in the universe, but you want to give it, let people know the Hilco stuff. You want to talk about it on the next show? We'll
talk about it for the future. But I announced last week I have partnered with Hilco Global, which is a pretty awesome company that has dominated many different asset classes. You name it: real estate, distressed real estate, patents, asset-based lending. And we formed a new company together called Hilco Digital Assets with my company ATM Holdings, and we are off to an awesome start with building a new entity in the digital asset space, which includes domain names first and foremost, obviously, Web3, NFTs. We're looking at some pretty interesting, savvy moves, as you know, which I'm really excited to be doing in a the current market environment, because it's a great time to be buying, investing, and starting on that side. And I honestly, known the Hilco people for a long time, I'm blown away by how much low-hanging fruit and how smart some of the people are. This is an incredible company. More than exceeding my expectations, deal flow and everything in the first week. So there'll be a lot more to come from that. Pretty excited about it. The only other thing I wanted to do is I did want to give out a shout out to Josh, because thank God we have him between me, Drew, and you on this show.
Hey man, somebody's got to sort of set the tone a little bit and create a little bit of some levity, if you will, And
exactly.
yeah, but congratulations, man. I think that's an awesome move. Obviously excited to see the big things. I mean, you're already doing big things. I think that's just a great fit. And yeah, it'll be really awesome to see as you guys build and grow that thing. So it's all
we
good.
got some we'll have some Bored Ape Yacht Club news coming soon from Hilco Digital Assets.
All right, cool, man. Yeah, let's go. We got Ape Fest coming up, so next week we'll be doing that's why I was saying we should we can do a rabbit hole show live from New York. It's
when I don't want to screw up our editing, but when are you going?
I'm going to be there Monday to I'll be there Monday to Friday. So I'm in New York almost all week. So let's talk.
Make sure we connect.
Yep. Billy will be there. Speaking of Billy, he's a big Celtics fan as well. So he and you guys are riding together on this game 6. So we'll see how that goes for you guys, man. And
it's going to be tough.
So Josh, anything on? But anyway, Miller, congratulations, man. Obviously, we'll talk. Josh, what about you, man? Anything else other than you just trying to set the table for getting ready for this the next bull run, or what?
Yeah. Congrats to Miller, and no, I'm just excited to see a few people at NamesCon in Austin. I think that'll be cool. Hopefully, there'll be some sessions where I can kind of get a little bit of the passion back to domains, and I mean, hopefully there'll even be a couple of good domains at auction that I can sink my teeth into. We'll see. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see everyone first and foremost.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Drew will not be there, but
unfortunately, I will not be there. I'm actually quite upset because I haven't seen everybody for like 3 years. But so I am sad. I was just talking to Greg McNair yesterday, and
Triple G.
Triple G is going to be in the building, and unfortunately, I'm going to miss it. So, but I've got summer travel plans with the family, so nothing I can do.
And then Miller, will you be in Austin?
I will be in Austin. I'm actually moderating an awesome panel on blue chip NFTs and one kind of key thing on domains. And I'll be there Wednesday, Thursday, and I'm going to have to get out of there Thursday night or Friday morning. But I'm looking forward to being back. Yeah, I mean. Yeah,
that's what's up. I'm sorry, Drew, when you were saying, so you're going to be away, so you won't be there in Austin, but anything else?
But I'll be there in spirit.
In spirit. Yeah. All right. Well, look, everybody, like I said, definitely grab the list. Check out these names about to go to auction on NameJet. Get your tickets for NamesCon. There's a lot of amazing, cool stuff happening in the domain space. I mean, this is, always been the bread and butter for us. And, and I think it will be interesting to see as a lot of this kind of plays out over these next couple of months. These are interesting times, to say the least, but never a dull moment when we're dealing with domains and digital assets, NFTs and crypto for sure. And, we will see, there'll be, everything happens at the speed of light for sure. So to the audience, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. As I say in every show, without you, there's no us. So thank you for being here. Let us know, we're not hard to find. You got any questions, comments, all that good stuff. We're around. Hopefully we'll get to see everybody, a lot of the folks that are tuning in person, either in Austin at NamesCon in August or even in New York next week for NFT NYC and Ape Fest. And otherwise, we'll see you next time here on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Peace out.
See ya.